It's autos that is in focus. We're looking at the working capital issues for the auto dealers, the OEMs stepping in as well to aid dealers and taking stock of demand as well as inventory levels. To discuss this and lots more, we're joined by Aditya Makharia. He's from HDFC Securities, and we also have Kumar Bafna joining in from Fortpoint Automotive Cars. Great to have you both, gentlemen. Thanks much for joining in. Aditya, coming to you first. Let's just talk about what exactly the initial checks are indicating right now in terms of demand. Are we seeing that trend of rural, leading the revival? Are there enough triggers in place?
Yeah, sure. So, rural, as we have been highlighting for a while, is the one which will hopefully rebound first. We have just seen some tractor numbers come out from Escorts, and to our surprise, the numbers are much higher than estimates. They've reported almost a flat sale in excess of 6,000 tractors. So what we are seeing is that 75 to 80% of dealerships on the tractor side have certainly opened up. Even on two-wheelers, whatever dealerships have opened up, most of them are on the rural side. Customers are giving inquiries because everybody wants to, purchase some sort of entry vehicle. That's the feedback we pick up from the rural side. On the urban, though, it is more mixed. There are still some red zones. Yet, even if dealerships have opened up, they're working at very low operating levels. There are manpower issues. On the rural side, there's definitely a lot more interest at this point of time.
Okay, so clearly seeing that trend with rural leading the way. Meantime, Sundeep, let's understand from you as to how things have been for the dealer community throughout this lockdown. We have now seen a partial lifting as well. Perhaps it's early to say, but are you seeing a trend of, some interest coming in from customers? Have there been queries? Have there been, select walk-ins? Or what have been the inquiries like in the last month of May?
So basically, we are in Mumbai, and Mumbai we've not been able to start our showrooms. But what we've realized during this lockdown is that the inquiry generation is happening through hyperlocal or through digital medium, and we've suddenly found that during this total lockdown, as Fortpoint in the Maruti segment, we've done more than 350 odd bookings. And wherein the customer wants to buy the product, and he's just waiting that he's actually paying us 11,000 rupees for the booking, and is ready to wait once the lockdown opens and we are able to give them the vehicle delivery. Along with this, we've also seen that finance companies have come forward in the red zones, and are helping us in financing these customers. So basically, we've seen from a booking to a retail happening, wherein the vehicle was delivered at the residence of the customer. During which we've realized is that there is an inherent demand of customers who want to buy the product. Yes, it is more on the lower segment of products. So Nexa is where we are finding a lot of stress on the booking front. But in Arena, wherein we talk about the Alto 800, the Alto 1000cc, or the Wagonar CNG. And we are also finding that people who want to buy the Artica CNG is also a product which people are buying.
Understand, Sundeep, what's really happening at the dealer level, especially after auto dealers getting that breather from banks because of the moratorium of 6 months which was put into place?
So yes, there is that breather is there, but I honestly feel that after 6 months, if you ask me to pay 6 months interest together, it would be a difficult task. So I'm requesting all my bankers to convert that interest portion into might be a 6 months of EMI, or might be a 12 month of EMI. And I think
we seem to have snapped that line with Sundeep. We just get get back to him and get a sense of what's happening at the dealer level. But Aditya, if indeed rural is actually leading the recovery, after tractors, where do you see the first signs of a bounce coming in? Is it going to be passenger vehicles, or is it going to be the smaller ticket size, that is the two-wheelers?
Look, I feel it is going to be smaller ticket size, whether it is a car or a two-wheeler. So what our thesis is that the entry level and the executive segment within two-wheelers is the one which bounces back first. Similarly, within cars, and Alto, or Wagoner, Espresso, these are models which will see the demand coming back. So where we see there will be some stress could probably be on the premium discretionary side, which are more, value, more expensive products. But if I can just supplement to what Mr. Bafna was saying, there was a recent survey done in Bombay. In fact, I think it was by one of your sister concerns, where 60% of the people who were polled said that they have reservations when it comes to using public transport, be it passenger trains, the locals, or be it even the BST buses. And this kind of sentiment is even being echoed in smaller cities. You'll be surprised in areas like Salem and smaller towns. There's a similar sentiment coming through. So we think the bounce will happen in two-wheelers and cars, but it will be at the entry level.
Aditya, I wanted to get in your take then, most of the manufacturers have received permission. They have opened their plants as well. The entire production ecosystem as well is still yet to fall into place. By when do you think that issues pertaining to supply side constraints, limited support from dealers, financiers, etc., all of that is likely to get ironed out and eased? And is that currently work in progress?
Look, it is work in progress. We moved a long way from the lockdown, which was announced initially in the month of March. We're now in lockdown 5, under which the government has eased a lot of restrictions. They are starting these they are starting the long distance trains, which will facilitate movement of people. So I think the situation should improve. But please also keep in mind that there is a demand aspect as well, which the OEMs will have to cater to in terms of managing their inventory. So what we believe is currently plants are working on one shift. Yeah, they could scale this up maybe to 2 shifts also. But as we get into the traditional lean monsoon season, a more meaningful pickup in production could happen, post September is what we feel at this point of time.
Okay, fair enough. Perhaps we'll get a little more clarity by then as to how the overall system is working. Sundeep, FADA has asked for a rise in the sales margin per vehicle as well as the reduction of the cost structures at the dealerships. Currently, what are the average margins that the Indian auto dealers are operating at, and typically how much is spent on costs?
So,
Sundeep, that question was for you.
Sorry. It's for being exposed, yeah.
Sandeep, that question was for you in terms of the average margins and typically how much is spent on costs.
So basically, our average margin is typically between 4% to 5%. Our cost, including our interest costs and everything, hits like close to about 3% to 3.5%. Now, that said and done, with this lockdown in place and things like that, we all are re-looking at all our cost structures, and we are negotiating with banks for better pricing. We're also looking at reduction in staff size. Work from home is the new culture, and we are trying to see that we whatever the customer touch base people are there, they can work from home, and we can relook at a proper working around that. So that is what is actually happening. On the other front, we are also finding one very peculiar thing, that banks are not funding direct customers during this during this time in the way they used to fund them earlier. Now, if they have made some segments, like logistics segment and other kind of segments who now they put them in the negative list. Then there are these, salaried customers who they are now looking at that if they have a reduction in their salary, then they will not fund the customer. So those are other challenges which are coming up suddenly post lockdown or lockdown 5, that we are finding that suddenly banks are also looking at it in a very different way. So I think it will take another 15 days for this to settle down as to have all their policies cleared as to how they want to go ahead in this auto segment.
All right. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for sharing with us your outlook on the auto industry, how dealerships are facing the overall impact of the lockdown, as well as with things easing out, demand, inventory levels. Thanks so much for joining in.